Hello everyone, this is AndresRestart, and we have a series of new rumors regarding the Nintendo Switch 2. Apparently, the reveal will finally be happening this January, and when they do reveal this console, there is going to be a lot to show. So that's what we're going to be discussing further today. But before going forward, let me take this moment to ask that if you do enjoy my content, to please subscribe and hit that notification bell, and if you're unsure, watch through this video and then consider subscribing and hitting that bell. So this new rumor is coming from a friend of the channel actually, Nintentalk. Here on Twitter, he says, source, Nintendo to reveal Nintendo Switch 2 in January. This is coming from a major third-party developer contact I have. Here's what they say about the console. Get ready to play modern, AAA offerings on your Nintendo system in 2025. That's the rumor. In January, supposedly, we are going to see the reveal for the Nintendo Switch 2, and when this happens, it will become apparent that we are going to be able to play modern AAA games. In other words, not just your PS4 and Xbox One ports, but rather games that are coming to PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X will also be coming to Nintendo Switch 2. And not just the smaller offerings, but the bigger, major, ambitious offerings. Perhaps a lot of the games we saw announced at the Game Awards could also be coming to Nintendo Switch 2. Maybe that new Elden Ring spin-off, perhaps the new Witcher game, and a lot more. But there's more to these rumors, because another friend of the channel, Nintendo Prime, chimed in and said this: I can corroborate that January is what I have also been told, and based on what I know, AAA offerings on Switch 2 are going to be absolutely insane. Video coming on the January stuff in a bit, so he's going to speak more on this on his own later, but he's also chiming in here saying he's hearing similar things from apparently third-party sources as well. But someone else has spoken on this rumor. Samus Hunter. Here, Samus Hunter says, third-party studios have been waiting for the new generation to be able to release their games on Nintendo. And I'm not just talking about porting from PS4, but also the current generation. Think of BioWare, From Software, or CD Projekt, but also like Japanese studios like Namco and Atlus. So when thinking on Namco, games that come to mind to me, Elden Ring, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. From Software is actually the developer, Bandai Namco was the publisher for Elden Ring. But then also we're hearing mention of CD Projekt Red, which brings up ideas of maybe seeing The Witcher, for example. Or what could BioWare be working on? Could it be something Star Wars related, or something else altogether? There's a variety of possibilities here, but these are some big publishers and developers. And this pretty much lines up with what we've been thinking, that there would be a lot of strong third-party support to come out for Switch 2, because it is going to be a vastly more powerful console, but also done with modern hardware, and thanks to things like DLSS, it's going to become more feasible to get a lot of ports going on Switch 2 in a way that looks pretty good, far better than what we saw for a lot of those ports on Switch 1, where they were very blurry and not really worth it for a lot of people. And of course, they were still worth it for some people, and we have seen some of these games see some success, like Hogwarts Legacy, for example. But on Switch 2, based off these rumors here, it's going to be a more significant and consistent experience of having quality third-party support. But speaking on this idea of a January reveal, that doesn't seem very surprising. We know Nintendo's next shareholders meeting is on February 4th. The idea that they would have a reveal approaching this period of time makes a lot of sense. They've already given us a deadline on when we should sort of expect a major announcement on the console, which would be by the end of the fiscal year, March 31st, 2025. And we do have multiple reports now that are suggesting that the console will be launching between the months of May and July. So it makes some decent amount of sense. But I wanted to take this moment to speak on what we might see in this reveal from Nintendo themselves, not just third-party games. Likely we'll at least see the launch title and the first few games coming out in the first few months. Now, there has been this huge rumor that's been circulating that a lot of people have been speaking on about apparently someone who got their hands on a Switch 2 and has been answering a whole bunch of questions about the console on Reddit, and the moderator was able to vouch for the evidence that they received privately. Now, that is a rumor, we'll take it with a grain of salt, but there was something mentioned about different versions of the Nintendo Switch 2. An all dark gray version, an all white version, and a specially themed version that has something to do with a game with the number 9, which leads people to believe that that might be Mario Kart 9, the next big new Mario Kart game. However, Samus Hunter suggested that Mario Kart 9 would not be a launch title. Now, we're speaking on essentially two different rumors here, so it's possible maybe neither are correct or just one of them is correct, but technically they could also both be correct, because the Reddit user never said that this specially themed Switch 2 for a game that's based off something with 9 would be the launch title. And it also might not be Mario Kart, it could be something else. And even if it is Mario Kart, a specially themed Switch on a game doesn't seem like something that would be available at launch. I would assume this would come out a few months later down the road. And ultimately what I'm getting at here is that maybe Mario Kart is not the launch title. And I do think Mario Kart would make sense to be the launch title. I think it might be something that could showcase the hardware really well. It could perhaps showcase the cooperative play elements of the Switch 2 with the Joy-Cons. It would be something that most people would be very interested in playing early on, both the hardcore audience and the casual audience. But maybe Nintendo's saving Mario Kart for another time. Next year is Mario's 40th anniversary, and they may have some big plans to celebrate Mario throughout the year. But looking at how Nintendo handled the 35th anniversary, there were some games that were celebrating that anniversary that trickled into the next year to close out the fiscal year, like 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. And considering that the next Mario movie is slated to release April of 2026, maybe they might want to have a big release to close out the fiscal year, in other words, by March 2026, that's also fairly close to the release of the movie the month afterwards in April. And so maybe Nintendo might want to save Mario Kart for that period of time, to have something big then. And at the same time, Nintendo does also need to have a big holiday release. Maybe the big holiday release is going to be 3D Mario, as it tends to be. But if Mario Kart's not going to be the launch title, and if 3D Mario is going to be saved for the holidays, then what could Nintendo be using to be the launch title for a console that's launching in the May to July period of time? Well, I'm going to assume that most people are going to just disagree with this speculation here. Most people are going to assume that something is off with what I'm suggesting, that either Mario Kart or either 3D Mario would have to be the launch titles. And I would say that, yeah, that does make a lot of sense, but let's consider another perspective here. Typically, next generation consoles, when they come out, they sell like hotcakes, regardless of what's available at launch. And looking at how Nintendo found success with the Nintendo Switch 1, yeah, it launched with Breath of the Wild, and that was a big deal, but I think it can be argued that the initial launch wasn't that significant. It was a couple million. And so there are other games Nintendo could put out that would appeal to that hardcore audience that would sell about that number initially, but as the months go on, as long as they have consistent big sellers leading up to the holidays where they have something like 3D Mario, they will do just fine. And if by the end of the fiscal year they also have Mario Kart, then within a 9-month period of time, Nintendo may be doing really, really well. It may be more so about the overall bigger picture here. If 3D Mario, Mario Kart are the kind of games that could sell 10 million in a weekend, then maybe they want to wait until they can sell 10 million in a weekend, and instead they may want to put out games earlier on that can just sell a handful of million in a shorter span of time, but because they come out early on, they will be able to enjoy that evergreen success and have an opportunity to reach an even larger audience. And so basically what I'm getting at here is that maybe the launch title will not be Mario Kart, maybe it will not be 3D Mario. Both of those would be fantastic options, but maybe there are other things that would fit. Maybe Nintendo has a plan, and they've been planning this for a long time given how long we've been waiting, and they're going to strategically place different games every single month leading up to the bigger releases like 3D Mario, like Mario Kart. Maybe they close out the Switch 1 generation and start up the Switch 2 generation with the same game. Maybe it's a cross-generation title. Maybe it's Metroid Prime 4, and that's their last big game. There aren't really too many cross-generation games. Metroid Prime 4 is a hyped game. It's something that we're excited for. It was nominated for Most Anticipated Game at the Game Awards. It didn't win because, well, Grand Theft Auto, but is a big deal game, and Nintendo may show it off, and that could perhaps be a pretty exciting title to launch the console alongside some other stuff. Not alone. I don't think they could pull it off by itself. Maybe we have something like a Switch Sports Resort. And those together for the first month, alongside a lot of big third-party games, a lot of big AAA offerings, would be okay for the first few weeks. If you think about it, if Nintendo puts something out like a 3D Mario, like a Mario Kart, those games might dwarf all of the significant third-party support. And so from that perspective, it would also might make more sense if they put out something that isn't going to have as much reach as those games. That way, third parties can find some success early on as well. And then the next month, maybe it's something big like Animal Crossing, and then after that it's Pokemon Legends EA, and so on. And before you know it, it's October, where we get 3D Mario. Obviously, I'm just expressing a possibility here. I don't know exactly how things are going to shake out. There are different rumors circulating right now. Take this all with a grain of salt. But things are happening. We've been seeing all these different accessory leaks. It does feel like we're getting close. And if the reveal is in January, finally, all of these questions and possibilities are going to be answered. But until then, we're going to have fun theorizing on what may be going on. But what do you all think? Let me know in the comments below. This is AndresRestart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care.